Hello and welcome to our extended DISC spring webinar series. Today's a mini webinar. It's a 15-minute webinar, which we will be recording and putting on our site in case you miss any of it or want to share it. As always, we're not taking any live questions, but we encourage you to ask questions, put them in the question box, and afterwards we will promise to follow up with you. My name is Christina Bowser. I'm the training director here at Extended DISC, and I've brought in my wonderful colleague, Wilma Stevens, who's a senior trainer, and as luck would have it for us, she also happens to be an executive coach. So welcome, Wilma.
Thanks, Christina.
All right, so today our topic is, we've done it before, we focused on different reinforcement reports, but today we're gonna focus on, I think, Wilma and I will say it's one of our favorites, which is the communication strategy workbook. So
I'm nodding my head, everybody. I want you to know that. I know you can't see me, but the communication strategy workbook is really springs from the communication strategy worksheet. And of all worksheets, this is my all-time favorite. And I love it because I'm all about how do we apply what we teach and really bring the course to life. And for me, the communication strategy worksheet and the communication strategy reinforcement report do that.
Yeah, and you know, one of the things about when we do these trainings, when we train the trainers and you guys go out and deliver DISC, the most common question we get asked is, okay, I've done the training, what's next? And Wilma kind of already starting to address the topic, but anything you would add about that? Like, you know, okay, I've done my session, I've done my debrief. How do I keep DISC alive?
Well, I think that we all feel that. We've delivered this excellent session and people are really excited about it. And then 3 weeks later, they're like, what? We did that? And it's a terribly humbling moment. But if we do not continue to feed the bear, they're going to go elsewhere for their information. So we have a lot of things that actually, with some effort, a little bit of effort, not much, you can continue to get the message across. And, you know, a little message can have a big impact.
Absolutely.
Have that aha moment. So one of the things, you know, are these reinforcement reports, videos that we have, the webinars, different blogs, but this in particular, I think suits what's next.
Exactly. So let's talk about it. So I just want to give you an overview. You know, feel free to go back and listen to our other webinars on reinforcement reports. We've done one on behavioral action plan, as well as maximizing your strengths. So we've got quite a lot of them and they're constantly in development. What's great about them, as you guys already know, your clients only take the one-time extended DISC questionnaire, and with the valid results in your account, you can run these reports for no additional cost. Very simple instructions. The timeline, you might have heard Wilma throw in a little tip in there. Something we get asked like, well, which reinforcement report should I go? Like, what order should I do it? What's great about it, again, is there is flexibility involved. You know your clients better than we know your clients. Maybe you've done a negotiation report or session. Then run the negotiation reinforcement report. But you heard Wilma said, if you don't know where to start, her tip is start with this one, the one we're talking about today.
Well, if you think about it, this is a communication tool. Mm-hmm. We talk about the 4 steps to effective communication. And for me, this hits home. But there are other things that dovetail so nicely in this. One of the things, though, what puts this in a nice package as a follow-up is that it's customized to your client, participant, employee. So this communication strategy reinforcement report has all of their information. Even though the communication strategy worksheet mm-hmm. is excellent, this can stand alone. You know, when you send it out, it really holds their hand.
So what's great about it is it takes, you know, the communication worksheet that Wilma's talking about, I'll show you it in just a second, and it builds in their DISC profile information. So the reinforcement aspect of it is, hey, I already saw this in my own results, but now you are focused in on one specific aspect of what they learned in DISC, which makes it much easier to reinforce. So just to give you a quick overview of what the communication strategy report does is, it's designed for you to pick one specific individual that you would like to improve your interactions with. And there is a simple and easy to apply method to do it. And we'll talk a little bit as we go through this webinar today. So it simply revisits the information your clients are already familiar with when they came to your DISC session. And now they can put it into action.
Yeah, and that's a really great point you just made. You can pick one person, or you can do more than one person on a different sheet, but you pick one person. Who would you pick? Like,
I guess I would pick someone that I find challenging.
yeah, or somebody that you work closely with, because this can be used with a challenging relationship or a relationship that's really great, but how do we make it better?
Exactly. So let's get into the report. So you heard Wilma reference the communication strategy worksheet. It's something that we here as trainers use in all the time in our DISC workshops and our DISC training and our DISC debriefing. A lot of you clients out there use it as well. But it's generic. It basically does take you through the steps. But what we've created today is the communication strategy report, which takes this worksheet and incorporates your own personal DISC information into it.
Yeah, all that stuff from profile to your natural style.
Again, if you guys know us, we're not the most technically challenged. We're kind of technically challenged. My goal was actually to upload this worksheet so you guys would have a copy of it. But lo and behold, something happened and it didn't upload. So if you guys would like to see a sample of this report or this communication strategy worksheet, it's available on our VIP trainer site, or reach out to Wilma or myself and we promise we'll get it to you. So other parts of the report are, specific suggestions and tips. And I think this is a real critical aspect of the report itself. These tips that are given to you are, again, based on your profile too. So they're very specific to your natural style. So even if you have someone sitting next to you who happens to be, let's say, an S style and you're an S style too, if you're a combination of SI and they're a combination of ST, your tips will not be the same. And what you're looking at here are these, specific tips. If you have identified that individual as, let's say, an I style, then these are specific suggestions for you to remember to do, to modify. And if you were to modify, there's a good opportunity for you to create a much more effective interaction. However, just know that, this is just, as Wilma says, 1/4 of the page.
So if you remember when you're doing a debriefing of the assessment, at the very back, we have those tips. I love those tips because they're customized to the end user, your participant. And they have a section for D, a section for I, a section for S, and a section for C. In the actual report that we're looking at, this reinforcement report, they all come on pretty much one page so that it's efficient and really for that particular person. The one great thing about it is that you don't have to be standing beside them holding their hand. It really moves you through. So you can say you've identified the person, you think they're, as Christina and I pointed out, an I style. These are some basic ideas to get a rhythm, things to do or things not to do. Obviously, they're going to have to apply some common sense to take it a little bit a step further.
But it gives you a starting point.
Starts you off, absolutely.
And again, it will look familiar because it was already in their original report. But again, this report is designed to zero in.
Yeah, it becomes efficient.
So, sorry, I hit the other slide. But I think important, we're just highlighting the communication strategy report. There's a couple other aspects to it. Again, we don't need to talk about every one, but I think where we need to kind of check in and reinforce with our client, if we do so, this is a self-standing report. They can do it on their own, but to focus on the actionable steps, which is what we call start, stop, and continue.
Yes, I think that this is applicable, all throughout your career. What are you going to start? What will you continue and what will you stop? We often forget about the stop. We get behaviors that sometimes worked for us in one part of our career, but they no longer serve us. Those self-limiting behaviors that we could stop. Continue. What are you doing well? And then start. Maybe there's an adjustment that you could focus on. Another part that brings this to life that I always encourage people to do is get technology on their side. Once they've actually filled out a communication strategy plan, put it in the reminder section that pops up in the morning. Remember, this is what you're starting, stopping, or continuing to do when you interface with that particular person. And all we're trying to do is improve our effectiveness in terms of our communication. Remember, that also will help their self-awareness. And self-awareness is the gateway to emotional intelligence. People that we work with that are highly self-aware typically are better communicators. They get what works and they get what doesn't work as well. So zeroing in and having some very specific goals, start, stop, continue. Don't make it complicated.
Exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
Do not make it complicated. Pick one thing that you're going to start doing, stop doing, or continue. Or maybe they only pick one aspect of this, something that they're going to stop. Remember, little adjustments can have quite a big impact. And this reinforcement report, in terms of moving from the communication strategy worksheet to this whole workbook, really adds a robust application for you. And I think that by facilitating that with your client or your employee, that will really show that you're taking this not just like as a one-off. We did the one training and we're done. It just keeps you in the game. People are busy and they always need reminders. Think about your own, if you have any children, how many times you've told them to pick their backpack up from the back door and bring it elsewhere. Well, the same thing goes with any message like this. It's repeat, repeat, repeat. So this is just another way to gently drop in are you putting forth an effort in terms of your adjusting?
Yeah, and I just wanted to add on to what Wilma was saying about robust, right? So in the report itself, it gives you these suggestions. It gives you a starting point. So of course, as Wilma says, repeat, repeat, repeat. And what's great about this for you guys as our clients, as trainers, is there's not as much effort on your part. These are self-standing reports. You go in, you send it out based on their DISC results, and it's something for them to work on for themselves, because there's no better way to learn than to do it yourself. So of course, the repeat part, follow up and debrief. It's not necessarily something you and they have to do it, but for them to debrief themselves, right, Wilma?
Well, not only, okay, so say you have a client and you want to keep contact with them, you could call them, have another session, or send an email. You just circling back, what worked, what didn't work, what would you do differently next time? Or the fourth thing could be, are you even doing it? And if they're not, another gentle nudge, but it keeps you in contact with that follow-up and debriefing opportunity.
Yeah, and the ultimate takeaway, of course, for all of this is, as Wilma and I say over and over again, you're not broken. The goal is not to fix you. It's simply to be just more self-aware, more comfortable with who you are, and to remember that these adjustments that we're asking ourselves to make are oftentimes brief, but the return on the investment is great. Impactful. So don't try to change who you are, change your behaviors.
Yes.
Anything else you want to add, Wilma?
Yeah, just short, quick. It's not a sentencing 24/7, just a short, quick adjustment could really impact the communication that you have with people.
and start with one. So thank you guys for joining us today. 15 minutes just flies by. We do have another webinar coming up call again on our here's where I go. Another reinforcement report. This one is called Listening Styles. How do we maximize our listening styles? And that will be next week at 3 o'clock. So please join us then. If you have any questions, we'll check our answer box. Otherwise, have a wonderful day and we'll talk to you later.
Have a wonderful week. And as we said at the beginning, if there's one tool to get application, it's work their communication strategy. Good luck.
All right.